I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I get the pleasure and the honor of introducing you to fabulous women, change makers, in fact, women who have taken charge in their life, decided to bring their passion to the planet, not just for themselves, but to inspire others to do the same. So I'm so excited to introduce these women to you. I mean, we've been doing this now for a few years, and every show I'm like, wow, I hope people were taking notes because it's just really incredible. We're on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon. We're on video, YouTube. Look for Women Awakening with Cynthia James. You can subscribe, share the videos, come back again and again because I guarantee you every woman will inspire your soul. So you can also go to cynthiajames.net. That's my website, and there's lots of gifts for you. You can join my online private community. So I want to introduce you today to Ioulia Christine, author, real estate broker, VIP cocktail server formerly. So this is what it says. She's had 10 years of experience working in the Las Vegas and New York City nightlife industry, voted in the top 10 sexiest cocktail servers in Las Vegas. Wait to see her. You'll know why. She's beautiful. She studied English and journalism at Old Dominion University and has been featured on many television shows and in magazines, including the hit reality TV show Rehab, Party at the Hard Rock Hotel. We'll be talking about that. And then just the tip, Memoir of a Las Vegas Bottle Server is her first book. Well, I am so happy that you're here, Ioulia.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I feel so honored. I have listened to your podcast before with other women, so I feel really special to be on it with you. It's just thank you.
Well, I want to know, I want to get to the stuff about your book and everything, but I want to know, how did you grow up? You probably didn't come on the planet and say, well, I'm going to be in the nightlife. So,
Very true. I don't think anybody really has that vision for themselves because they have a vision of what it looks like and what is perceived and sometimes what it actually is. But yeah, so I am, from a very small town just south of Richmond, Virginia, born and raised. My mom, she's also from the area, and she was a waitress during college, and that's how she met my dad. My dad is an immigrant. So my brothers and I are firstborn generation here. He is from Greece. So she met my father in Virginia while she was a waitress during her college break, summer break. And so, yeah, I guess me becoming a waitress or a cocktail server has stemmed from family roots. My parents met that way. So,
well, that's great. And it's really interesting because I've been interviewing so many people who have immigrant roots, and uh, I I think that there's a lot going on in our country that doesn't value the gifts that the immigrants bring to our country. So I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. So am I. Yeah. So is my dad.
So you went to college. What did you go to college for?
So I graduated several years ago. I'm a lot older and stuff now, but I went to college to Old Dominion University, which is also in Virginia, and I graduated with a major in English and minor in journalism. And I, quite frankly, never really did anything with my degree up until now in writing my book. So yeah, I've always wanted to be a writer, to be honest with you, but my path just after college just took a slightly different direction. And, I wouldn't change anything for the world because I am where I am here now. So
Yeah, but you did volunteer to teach English in Tanzania and
yeah.
and in Cambodia. And what caused you to do that?
So one of the benefits of being a cocktail waitress in Las Vegas was you make a lot of money. So, there's all types of ways you can spend your money, of course, or save it. And one of the benefits that I had and was lucky to be a part of was a volunteer organization that I was applied to. And because my major was English, I got accepted to teach children from ages 5 to 10, English as a second language. And I got involved in that because I had a lot of money from being a cocktail server, and I was able to and plus also being a cocktail server, you can make your own schedule. So, I work the weekends, and a lot of times I have a lot of time off. And so during my times off, like I took the whole month of January off, and I decided to follow a path of mine and volunteer in Tanzania at the program there in Arusha. And I taught English for a month.
Wow, that's incredible. So I want to talk. What led you to move into being a cocktail server? I mean, I'm familiar with Vegas because I lived there. And did you start at the top, or how did that work for you?
So for me, I would think it's a little different because I was actually going through a really bad breakup at the time. And after college, I had actually moved out west to San Diego. I wanted to check out the West Coast, and I had a few friends who had moved out there. So I got a job actually as an insurance broker, and I was also working at Hooters. So the Hooters in San Diego, some of my girlfriends had quit and moved to Vegas to become VIP bottle servers. So that's how I kind of got my start. I was going through a really bad breakup, and I decided to go visit some of my girlfriends. Of course, that's what girls do, women do. They need that women empowerment when they're going
Yes,
through
they do.
that devastating time. So I went out to visit them, and I didn't realize how much money they were actually making. And so for my position, my first job there, I actually had met one of the managing partners through my friend who was a cocktail server at the Hard Rock. And he told me to come back and interview for their pool party called Rehab. And I was really unfamiliar with it, but I said, sure, why not? So I came back, and I had already had him as a reference. And so that's how I ended up getting started there and getting hired. That was my first job there as a cocktail server. But I know many girls, there's lots of open calls and open auditions and stuff. And hundreds of girls go and apply every single year for these jobs when they do these casting calls. So it is very difficult. And I just happen to be one of the lucky ones who, got the connections to work.
Well, lucky, but you're beautiful and everything,
Oh, thank you.
because these
Well,
women are
that's
beautiful.
Well, in Vegas, beautiful women are a dime a dozen. I mean, it's almost very intimidating. You see so many pretty girls, and so you're like, wow, what do I have to offer that, they don't and stuff. So I'm not gonna say my personality charm and, won everybody over, but and the fact that I'm good with money. So, being an insurance broker also kind of think helped solidify my job opportunity.
Yeah. So tell me, what is a VIP bottled server? I mean, how do they differentiate from just cocktail waitresses that run around in the casinos and things like that?
Right. So we are all cocktail waitresses, but the main difference is we specify, or how do I put this? We generally just deal with people ordering bottles from VIP tables. So they have minimum spends at whether it's a VIP table in a nightclub or a VIP cabana, they have minimum spends. For example, they would have to reserve that for $3,000. So they can spend whatever they want for $3,000. There have been cases where I have waited on people and they don't want to get any bottles. And my busser and I have had to literally send them $3,000 worth of cocktails running all over the place. But for the most part, people get the bottles of alcohol, champagne, vodka, and it gets delivered to the table. So that is the difference between a bottle server and a normal cocktail waitress, is we mainly just focus on the bottles and the VIP tables.
Yeah, and so you get a salary plus the tips, which is where I think the money maker comes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So if you think about it, if someone has a $3,000 spend, we get 20%, usually the average tip, that's $600 just from one table. So, I don't know many cocktail servers where they can make $600 just serving individual cocktails. it's potential, but it is more difficult doing it that way.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk because I lived in Vegas and I want to talk
Yes, I know.
about
That's awesome. A lookalike like me.
I wasn't a cocktail waitress, so they wouldn't hire me. I was a dancer. So, but, but
Oh, even better.
yeah. But I want to talk about navigating, you know, the the potential of sexual harassment and people being drunk and not being respectful. How did you navigate that?
It it was challenging at times. I'm not going to deny that. For the most part, we did have a really good security system in place at our venues. That if we had any issues, we would get a security guard, and the security guard would handle the situation. But then there were times where, for example, in my situation, one of the venues I actually worked at, which is still one of the top nightclubs in Las Vegas, and I was one of the very first hires were hiring cocktail servers to work there when they opened. I was an opening cocktail server there. And the owner actually had flirted with me on occasion, and I just took it. I never want to think of something if it's not there, or accuse anybody of anything. I always want to take things with a grain of salt. So, I didn't take anything of it. I just thought, oh, he's just flirting with me, but he's my boss, so he would never go there. And he did go there. So when he went there, I actually kind of ran away, to be honest with you. It happened in his office and I ran from the situation, and I did get reprimanded for that. I lost my job because of that, unfortunately. But that is something that a lot of girls are put in situations like that when it comes to owners, managing partners, or even big spenders, because they do cater to the people VIPs who come in there and they spend a lot of money. So it's almost like you are told to cater to them in every aspect. And a lot of girls are like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then some girls feel pressured to do that. And that's the bad part of this industry is, you do get caught up sometimes and put in situations that you don't want to be in. And it's just how you respond to those and how you can move forward with that. So yeah, I was put in a lot of situations, and most of them I was able to handle it myself. But when it came to bosses, unfortunately I did lose my job because of sticking up for myself and running away.
Well, first of all, bravo. Second of all, I mean, that's what Me Too movement was all about, is like whether it was Hollywood or wherever it was, you know, the part of the industry thinking that women needed to serve them in whichever
Literally
way.
serve them,
Yeah,
exactly, and that's
yeah,
not the case.
yeah. So that was beautiful. So where did New York come in?
Well, so after Vegas, or I knew my time as a cocktail server was pretty much up. I mean, I had started kind of late in the industry as well. When I first moved to Vegas and got hired at Rehab, the pool party, I was actually 30 years old. So
Which is
yeah,
not old.
well, for Vegas cocktail
Yeah.
standards, yeah, that's pretty up there. So most girls, do start off at 21, 22 years old. And so I was 30, and I feel like I had my share. I saved up enough money, and my family's still all on the East Coast, and I just wanted to be closer to them. And I did keep in contact with a few of the clientele that I had waited on, and I had become, more professional relationships with them. So one of them offered me a job to get my real estate license and come to New York. So I literally sold my house in Vegas, and with that money, I rented a small studio apartment in New York City. How crazy is that? But I did that, and I was closer to my family, and then just follow that aspect of my next chapter, so to speak.
And so while you were learning the real estate, you were working in a place where you served as well? Yeah.
Yes, correct. I was still a cocktail server, and I was doing online classes to get my real estate license in New York. So after I passed and all the hours that I had to take and the classes I had to take, I flew out to New York City. I took my state exam, passed it on the first try, and then decided a few months later, well, I'm gonna, yes, try to sell my house, and it sold much quicker than I thought. So I actually had to put a lot of my stuff in storage because I didn't have time to sell like all my furniture too, going from a 3 bedroom house to a studio. But
Right.
yeah, so that's how I ended up in New York. And I couldn't move back home, to be honest with you, because as much as I love Virginia, I couldn't go from Vegas to Virginia because it's just such a crazy transition. So I thought, well, next best place would be New York City. And then I could make at least the same amount of money as well. And then also, not trying to change the subject, but when I did go to New York City, I was able to, with one of the companies I worked, Tao Group in Las Vegas, I was able to transfer over to Tao Group in New York City. And that's where I got my New York City bottle service from too.
Wow. Well, first of all, it's kind of shocking the the amount of money it takes to have a studio in New York compared to a house in Vegas.
I'm not gonna lie, I was blown away. I really was. And it's an old studio too. It was nothing upgraded, so it was definitely a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, tell me. So I want to know about your book. I mean, you always wanted to write, but you hadn't written before. So tell
Yes.
me about this process and tell me what the book is about.
So I like to say never judge a book by its cover, just because I am in a swimsuit on the cover, but mainly focuses towards my first job as, the working at the pool party. We had to wear bikinis. That was our uniform. But I actually, my mom had told me I would tell her all these crazy stories of everything that was happening in Vegas, the things I was seeing as part of the job and being on the TV show. And she said, Julia, you should really write everything down, keep a journal. And I'm like, you're right. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So I kept a journal the whole time I lived in Vegas, all the goods, all the bads, everything. And it has taken me quite some time to actually write it out, because part of being a VIP bottle server in Las Vegas is you also have to sign non-disclosure agreements. And a few of those had lasted about 5 years or so. So even if I was fired from a job or resigned from that job and left to go, for another venue, they all had to do the non-disclosure agreements. And so I had to wait for that, those to go away so I can write the book without being sued. And then when I moved to New York and then I just really got into real estate, I kind of just put it on the back burner. And then, to be honest, I really didn't have much confidence in myself to publish a book, because it's kind of scary to put a lot of faith into yourself. It's really difficult, to be honest with you, and to relive all those PTSD moments and stuff. And so, unfortunately, my mother 2 years ago had passed away from COVID, and I really wanted to write the book. That's when I really pushed me to say, you know what, I'm really going to write this book now, because she's been pushing me for years to write it, and that's why I finally decided to write the book.
Well, first of all, so sorry to hear that she left, but how wonderful that
Yes.
you carried her energy into your legacy. I
Oh
think
yeah, for sure. She was
that's
my biggest supporter, and everything, all the crazy stories, even if it's something that I was involved in or my friends were involved in, she had no judgment towards anybody, any of us. And that's why I really love my mom, and she was my best friend and my hero. So
well, I love that. And so are you in relationship now?
you mean like a personal relationship?
Yeah. Are you in a personal relationship?
No, I'm single. Haven't been in any long-term relationship actually in several years. So I don't know if it's because of times have changed. I think it's really difficult for women. I'm still, even though I was a cocktail server and I've seen a lot, I'm still consider myself very old-fashioned. And if a guy doesn't approach me, then, and I'm not on any dating apps or anything. So if a guy doesn't approach me, then I just kind of keep to myself. And yeah, I've been single for a long time. No one asked me out on dates, not even in New York.
Yeah, well, I just want to say their loss because
Oh, thank you.
I'm spending time with you and your energy and your beauty, inner and outer. So I want to
I
I
think a
guess
lot
I
of women go through that though right now too. So
a lot. And if they
dating
don't
is
want and if
terrible
they
right now. It's so sad.
well, yeah, and the dating apps, I mean, I've heard horror stories and then you don't want to just go bar hopping to try to meet
Right.
people. Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I've been married for quite a long time, but I've always said that, if anything happened to my husband, the universe would have to send somebody to my door with a note because I just, it's a big deal. So I just want to talk a little bit about, um, you're doing real estate and you're writing this book. And you were doing, the cocktail serving too, to, bring in income and stuff like that. So today, what does your life look like today?
Well, today I actually, well, in this time frame, I actually left New York City about 2 years ago after my mom passed, and I came back down to Virginia to just be closer to my family. My family is very important to me, and then just to give me the time to write the book. So now that I have written the book, I am just, um, yeah, that's kind of difficult to say. I'm one of those girls who I saved most of my money from living in Vegas. So I am okay right now to just to put real estate on pause and to just move forward. This being my first book, I really enjoyed writing it, and I think that's something that I want to continue doing in the future, is to continue being a writer and maybe a novelist one day. That's my ultimate goal, since that's what I majored in college, but
Mhm.
we'll see.
Yeah,
So
well,
probably
what
being
I
a
love
writer. Yeah.
what I love about what you're saying is that, you saved your money. A lot of young people, when they're making money, aren't wise enough to put money aside for themselves, so that they have choice. How do I
Correct.
want to live? Where do I want to live? And who do I want to invite in my life? So I think that that's beautiful. I want to know how people find you and your book, and you know open to understanding that life, because I think people have opinions and judgments,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it may not it be true. So how do they find you?
Yeah, so with that, I think especially with the job that I had being a bottle server in Las Vegas, or even bottle service in Miami or New York City, obviously the outfits we wear have to be some sort of sexually suggestive,
Mhm.
and most of the girls are extremely gorgeous and have very beautiful bodies. And because we do flirt, to make our money, doesn't necessarily mean we are that girl or that type of person. And don't get me wrong, I think a woman should be who she wants to be. But that there is a lot of judgment on how bottle servers are perceived. And, obviously in my book, I just hope I show a different point of view of that. A lot of us are, in college or finished college, and this is just something that we have done because we had a great opportunity to be involved in this type of career. And whether we decide to stay in it or leave, but people do get a stigmata of like how waitresses are, and I hope I prove something different, especially in this book. So you can find my book on bookbaby.com. That is my publisher, or on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And for where you can find me, the best would be my Instagram. So if you want to look me up on Instagram, it's Julia Christine, but the Julia is spelled a little different because it's my Greek name. It's spelled Ioulia Christine. If anybody wants to look me up, that's the best way to reach me, and they can ask me any questions on the book or anything about my life, or whether if they want to pursue something in bottle service, I am more than happy to help them as well.
IOU, spell
Oh,
it again.
yes, because it's Ioulia. That's how you say Julia in Greek, by the way. But a lot
Ah.
of people can't pronounce that, so my family was like, we'll just go with Julia. It's
Hmm.
Ioulia,
Mm.
and then Christine, Chrisistine.
Well, I love that, Ulia. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, I asked the same last question of every guest on this show. The show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
In this moment is be true to yourself, there's so many times where women are being judged on everything these days, whether it be their looks, their career. And I just say, be true to yourself and follow your path. And even though it's not someone else's path, it's your path. And as long as it feels right to you and it will lead you in the right direction, then that's what you should do, and have faith in yourself. And
Yeah, 100%. And isn't it wonderful that you at this time in your life know this and you don't have to settle for anything?
no, very true. Yeah. And especially, like I said, when I got started in the bottle service industry, I was 30. So, and even now I'm thinking of changing my career path and becoming a full-time writer, and no longer doing real estate. So I still have my license. I can still fall back on that. But at the same time, you can reinvent yourself too at any age.
Absolutely. Well, Ioulia, thank you so much for being here and
Thank you.
bringing your gifts. I'm so grateful. It's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
So, ladies, I end this show the same way every week. Different words, same energy. You can trust yourself. You can trust your vision. You can trust your life. You can answer those dreams that live within you that want to be manifested. And it may take some time and there may be different paths, but you're worth it. You can trust your process. You can trust your life. I'm so grateful that you're here and I look forward to seeing you again. Many blessings.